The story of a legend rarely begins under the dazzling stadium lights, amidst the roar of a million fans. No, the saga of one of the greatest names in sports history started in the shadows of poverty, with a boy who had to gamble his own heart just to chase a dream. This is the untold story of Cristiano Ronaldo. Born on February 5, 1985, Cristiano Ronaldo dos Santos Aveiro was the youngest of 4 children in a modest family on the Portuguese island of Madeira. From his earliest days, he had a strange, all-consuming obsession with a soccer ball. When his family couldn't afford to buy one, it didn't stop him. He would find an empty plastic bottle, a bundle of rags, anything he could kick, and practice for hours on the cracked, unforgiving streets. His world was that ball, and that ball was his world. His mother, Maria Dolores, worked as a cook and a cleaner, and though they had very little, she saw the relentless fire burning in her son's eyes. She scraped together every spare cent she could find to buy him his very first real soccer ball. It was more than a toy. It was an investment in a dream she barely understood. She then convinced his father, who worked as a groundskeeper at a local club, to get him a spot in the humble Andarina Youth Academy. But this was where the real struggle began. At the academy, his teammates, who came from more comfortable backgrounds, relentlessly mocked him. They made fun of his worn-out clothes, his family's poverty, and the simple fact that his father cleaned the very grounds they played on. They called him crybaby because the frustration and hurt would often bring him to tears. But Ronaldo didn't lash out. He didn't fight back with his fists. He absorbed every single insult, every cruel joke, and transformed that ridicule into savage, burning fuel for his training. While other kids went home, he stayed on the pitch, practicing, determined to become so good that no one could ever look down on him again. By the age of 12, his talent was undeniable. It was explosive, raw, and impossible to ignore. His skills caught the attention of Sporting CP, one of Portugal's biggest clubs, and they offered him a place in their prestigious residential academy in Lisbon. This was his big break, a ticket off the island and into the world of professional soccer. But it meant leaving his family behind. At just 12 years old, he packed his bags and moved to the mainland, a lonely boy in a massive, unfamiliar city. The taunting didn't stop. It just changed its tune. In Lisbon, his new teammates mocked him for his thick, pronounced Madeiran accent. He was an outsider once again, isolated and struggling to fit in. He would call his mother, crying, begging to come home. The loneliness was crushing. Making matters worse was the devastating news from his family. Back home, his father's battle with alcohol was getting worse, and his older brother was spiraling into substance abuse. The weight on this young boy's shoulders was immense. He was fighting for his future, hundreds of miles away from home. While his family was falling apart, he thought about quitting. The pressure, the loneliness, the constant ridicule, it was almost too much to bear. But then he would remember why he was there. He would remember the dusty streets, the plastic bottle, and the promise he made to himself. He would succeed. He would use soccer to lift his family out of poverty and create a new life for them. That thought, that single-minded purpose, kept him going. He channeled all his pain and frustration onto the training ground, working with a ferocity that startled even his coaches. Then, at the age of 15, just as his career was beginning to take flight, he faced the most terrifying challenge of all. During a routine medical checkup, doctors delivered a chilling diagnosis: tachycardia. It's a heart condition that causes an abnormally rapid heart rate. The doctors were blunt. If he continued to play high-intensity soccer, his heart could fail at any moment. His career was over before it had even truly begun. The dream was turning into a nightmare. The news shattered his family. For his mother, Maria, it was an impossible choice. Let her son continue to chase his dream and risk his life, or force him to stop and crush his spirit. In a decision that must have been agonizing, she made the ultimate gamble. She consented to a high-risk heart surgery. a laser procedure to cauterize the area of his heart causing the problem. She was betting her son's life on his dream. The operation was a success. The tension, the fear, the agonizing wait, it was all over. And in a display of the sheer grit and determination that would come to define him, Ronaldo was back on the training field just a few days later. He wasn't just walking, he was running. He was running with a fierce speed and a grim determination that stunned everyone who watched. The boy who had just undergone heart surgery was now training harder than anyone else. He had stared death in the face and had come back stronger, more focused, and more unstoppable than ever before. This near-death experience forged him. It stripped away any remaining fear and left only pure, unadulterated ambition. He knew he'd been given a second chance, and he wasn't going to waste a single second of it. His performance on the pitch became electrifying. He was faster, more powerful, and more technically brilliant than any other player his age. And then came the moment that changed everything. In the summer of 2003, Sporting CP played a friendly match against the English powerhouse, Manchester United, to inaugurate their new stadium. On the field that day was an 18-year-old Cristiano Ronaldo. What happened next is now the stuff of legend. For 90 minutes, he completely dismantled the seasoned Red Devils' defense. He moved with a blinding mix of speed, trickery, and explosive force that left the world-class defenders looking like amateurs. The Manchester United players, exhausted and bewildered, couldn't stop talking about him in the locker room after the game. They went to their legendary manager, Sir Alex Ferguson, and pleaded with him, "You have to sign this kid." But Ferguson didn't need convincing. He understood he wasn't just watching a great player. He was watching the future of soccer unfold right before his eyes. Immediately after the match, Ferguson refused to let his team leave Portugal without the young prodigy. A historic contract was drawn up and signed. In that moment, the chapter about the poor boy from Madeira who gambled his own heart closed forever. And the shocking, triumphant, and legendary story of CR7 had just begun. From the brink of death to the theater of dreams, Cristiano Ronaldo had arrived. His journey was a testament to the idea that talent is nothing without resilience, and that the greatest victories are often won long before you ever step onto the field. Thanks for watching. If you want to hear what happened next in his journey at Manchester United, let me know in the comments and don't forget to subscribe.